Okay, so now we're going to practice drawing an atom. I have my periodic table in front of me, and I'm going to draw the atom boron. So before I start to draw my atom, I have to draw the box for boron that's on my periodic table. So first, I'll draw a rectangle. I have my periodic table, and I've circled boron on the periodic table. My chemical symbol for boron is a capital B. So I'll put that inside my box. Now I'm going to write the name for boron, which is right under the chemical symbol. Now I look and I need to find my atomic number. I remember that my atomic number is the same as my number of protons and my number of electrons. It's also the number that is in the top left corner of my periodic table. That number for boron is 5. So I'm going to write a 5 in my box to remember my atomic number, my number of protons, and my number of electrons. The last part that has to go into my box from my periodic table is my atomic weight. My atomic weight is my number of protons plus my number of neutrons. That's important for me to remember later when I need to figure out how many protons, neutrons, and electrons to put in my atom drawing. Looking at my periodic table, I see that boron's atomic weight is 11, so I'm going to write an 11 here. I'm now done and ready to draw my atom. Before I start, I should figure out how many protons, neutrons, and electrons do I need. So now it's time to figure that step out. I remember that my atomic number is the same as my number of protons. So because my atomic number is 5, my protons also equal 5. Same as my atomic number and my number of protons is my number of electrons. So since I had 5 protons and an atomic number of 5, I know I have 5 electrons. The last part to figure out is my number of neutrons. This is slightly more difficult, but we know we can figure this out. My atomic weight is my number of protons plus my number of neutrons. So I have to do a little subtraction here. I'm going to take my atomic weight, which is 11, and subtract my number of protons, which is 5. 11 minus 5 leaves me 6. So I know now I have 6 neutrons. Now it's time to start drawing my atom. What I draw first are my protons and my neutrons. They're inside my nucleus, and that's where I'm going to start. I'll start with my 5 protons. Since protons have a positive charge, my 5 protons will have a plus and a circle around them. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I now have all of my protons. Now it's time to draw my neutrons. I have 6 neutrons inside my nucleus. My neutrons have no charge, so they'll look like this. That's the first one. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I now have my entire nucleus with my 5 protons and my 6 neutrons. I'm not done with my atom just yet. I still have my electrons. Boron is in the second period or row of atoms in my periodic table of elements. So I now know I need two electron rings. So I'm going to draw those first. And if your rings aren't a perfect circle, similar to how mine are, that's okay. My first ring around my atom can only hold two electrons, the same as the two elements that fall in the first row on my periodic table. Electrons have a negative or minus charge. So this is what my electrons look like. That's the first one. That's my second one. My first ring is all filled up, so my three remaining electrons must go in my second ring. Here's one, two, and three. My atom's all done, and I made a great atom that represents boron.